Pete Golding has had nearly a perfect 3 months, and Ole Miss is a national championship contender because of it. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member. We're proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now it's the number one sports podcast network in America, and that is all because of you. On today's show, we're going to continue our pre-spring roster conversation by diving into the Ole Miss running back room, even if Frank Wilson already has a good idea who his starter will be. Make no mistake, RB2 through RB7 is shaping up to be an absolute knife fight this spring, with varying styles battling for carries. Now, add the return of eiwan Lacy, and you can legitimately ask, is this the most talented running back room in Ole Miss history? We'll talk about that as well. And if so, why were all of these backs brought in? We'll break that down as well. But first, we're looking at Pete Golding's first full offseason that he's had. It's been about as close to perfect as it can be so far. Sure, we're going to nitpick a few things, but the reality is Ole Miss is being viewed as a national championship contender for 2026, and that is a direct result of what has happened over the last 3 months. All of that and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps, on YouTube, and everywhere else. And a special hello to the insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is, your team every day. Hey, have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. So let's go back in time just a little bit. The only way I know to do this is kind of in order. So just bear with me if you've heard this story before and what's going on. But November 30th, December 1st, I forget the day that it actually went down when all that happened. Pete Golding kind of stepped to the forefront in the Ole Miss sphere after Lane Kiffin was going to go to LSU. And the very first thing that Pete Golding did, and it was incredibly important, was to secure coaches staying in Oxford. And he was able to keep the whole defensive staff and I think two of the offensive staff members. John Garrison stays, Joe Judd stays as well. He went out and got a tight ends coach, a running backs coach, and a wide receiver coach. But that was an unbelievable win for Pete Golding in the immediate aftermath of what happened. He went and got John David Baker, who has spent 4 years at Ole Miss, had 2 years at East Carolina, to where he became a top 15 offensive coordinator yardage-wise for the Pirates at ECU. He's going to come back, run exactly the same system. As far as staff construction goes, Pete Golding gets an A++ going into it. That's the very first thing that he was doing. This was with Ole Miss having signing day in 3 days. This is with Ole Miss having the playoffs in about a week and a half. Pete Golding was able to secure the majority of the staff almost instantly, and that shows his likability. Then on signing day, they just went and grabbed a 5-star and flipped him on that day, despite all of the chaos that was going on. Remember, at that point, everybody was saying Trinidad Chambliss, eiwan Lacy, all of the stars are going to follow Lane Kiffin to LSU, and that obviously did not end up happening. But Pete Golding was able to rally the troops, secure a 5-star and a fairly highly rated class, despite all of the rumors that are going around. Ole Miss wins a playoff game against the Tulane Green Wave at home, an unbelievable environment. Wins the Sugar Bowl in dramatic fashion on a long field goal. And right about that same time, you start hearing rumblings of players that re-signed with Ole Miss, including Trinidad Chambliss and eiwan Lacy and Patrick Kudas and all of those A large portion of this team returned. Ole Miss only lost, I think, 4 transfers to LSU and 8 to other schools around football. It was a pretty good haul, both coming in and going out. Now, part of the advantage that Pete developed when he was going through hiring staff is he worked it to where others came back and worked, and the other ones got to work 100% on the transfer portal. And what you saw is a transfer portal class that is good. Number 2, according to 24/7 Sports. And the defense completely got remade. Big guys, replacements for Xavion Harris brought in, linebackers all over the defense. This defense has a chance to be elite in 2026. It can be a problem. And the wide receiver position, which while the previous administration was running around, the wide receiver position, it got stocked up fairly quickly. It took a little bit of slow time for John David Baker and his guys to get going, but they ended up with Jonte Cook and Darryl Gill Jr. and Cameron Miller and those guys, and you're like, okay, they're going to be fine. And they have former 5-stars, Jace Matthews. They have Caleb Cunningham on the roster. The wide receiver position is going to be fine. And we're going to talk about it in this show, stocked up the running back room and got a 5-star quarterback to boot. He did that in the transfer portal. So over the course of the first couple of months, he completely made his coaching staff stable almost instantly. He was able to take one of the biggest combined transfer portal and recruiting classes since the early 2010s, essentially. That hasn't happened in the last couple of years, even as good as they've been in the transfer portal. And he made a bet that Trinidad Chambliss was going to be back at Ole Miss. We heard stories about how Ole Miss was recruiting Trinidad Chambliss as if he was going to be the starting quarterback for Ole Miss in 2026, even though the eligibility thing kept getting denied by the NCAA, a crooked organization. Ole Miss took it to court, won the case in court. Pete Golding wins there. The result of this is the chance for Ole Miss to win the national title goes down to about 30-1, and it's going to just further. I think it's going to be about 15-1 by the time it settles. Trinidad Chambliss, about second to win the Heisman Trophy. Eiwan Lacy is the best running back in college football. William Eccles has a chance to be the Walter Nolan of this year's defense. And it's all because of the work that Pete Golding did in the month of December to stabilize and keep things together. Now, the run in the playoffs didn't hurt. 19 seconds away from a national championship game. That's one of those things that you can be very excited about. Pete Golding is tied right now for 3rd in the history of the SEC in playoff games coached already. He's coached 3 games. They were all in the playoffs. He gets that credit. He's tied with Steve Sarkisian at the moment. And he actually made Kirby Smart blink in the Sugar Bowl. They started going for it in weird spots. There was panic on the Georgia side as Ole Miss just kind of took that game over, and Trinidad kind of became the dude in that game. The point is, Ole Miss is a national championship contender in 2026, bar none. That is because of what Pete Golding did from the moment that the stuff happened and LSU was going to happen. The immediate aftermath of the Egg Bowl when that happened. With all the chaos that went down, the transfer portal on the last day where they were saying it was a knife fight with LSU for certain players, them going after and tampering all over the roster, like blatantly. All of the stuff that happened with Dabo, yeah, you can nitpick that just a little bit, but all that shows is a coach that is willing to play to the echo of the whistle. He didn't do anything necessarily wrong because there are no consequences for what is going on. The point is, Ole Miss fans should be very thrilled about Pete Golding and the way he has started his reign. People are going to try and say, well, we just don't know what type of coach he's going to be. Well, he coached 3 games already in the biggest level in college football, and he won 2 of them and was 19 seconds away from winning the other. So he's going to likely be fine. Everybody said, what about John David Baker? You got to worry about John David Baker. The change of the system, same offense. Now, there's certain things within the offense that he's going to prefer over what Ole Miss did a year ago. Exactly the same structure and system of offense. So what you saw from Trinidad, you're going to see that again. You're not going to see a Lenoris Sellers type situation to where they get worse 1 year after they were pretty good, because they're not a system fit. It's the same system. The players that were recruited to play in this system, same system. Anyway, is this the best backfield in Ole Miss history? Seriously. The real intrigue, though, might be why. We'll discuss that right after the break.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Oka dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Hey, did you ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab the conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but you can also send yourself to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use the profit boost on an NBA future and get your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel. It is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it keeps all of this free. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in America. If you haven't already, go check out the Everydayer Club. It has access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Ole Miss, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify's, and every other major podcast app. It has an invite to a members-only Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Hey, I'm on there from time to time, and I will give you an invite to the Locked On Ole Miss Discord, a separate one. And there's also special all-access episodes from Coach Corey Burton, Dalen Flowers, Mike Huseman, and yours truly as well. Go to lockedonolemiss.supercast.com and tap the link in the show notes to learn more. So the question becomes, if you look at Ole Miss's roster, and I'm going to forget names because there's so many of them, and I apologize for that if I leave anybody out. But whenever you get to my age, that just happens from time to time. Everybody knows who the starter is going to be. Eiwan Lacy, he ran for nearly 1,600 yards, like a whole bunch of touchdowns, breaking record after record after record. He's the best running back in the country. You have that on your roster already. Frank Wilson's walking into that. And I mentioned that running back 2 through running back 7 is going to be a knife fight, and it absolutely is. Because when you have Mekhi Frazier, the guy who transferred in from Michigan State, Good running back, got injured a year ago. That kept his numbers a little bit depressed, but he's a good player and he's going to get some carries. When you have Joshua Dye, and we had Spencer McLaughlin on the show maybe 2 weeks ago. He's the play-by-play man for Southern Utah University. He's seen every snap that Joshua Dye has had. He mentioned what type of player he was going to be for Ole Miss, because this becomes a stylistic thing from time to time and seeing what's going on. Ole Miss brought in JT Lindsey, a good running back out of Louisiana that last season he took a red shirt essentially. He is going to come in and compete. You have Shakai Mills-Knight, the running back out of the Baylor School in Tennessee. You have running backs all over the place that fit different niches. And several of them are basically they're basically a system fit from what they recruited in high school, but they also brought people in and transfer portal room as well. This is an unbelievable deep room. For instance, the Ole Miss signed a running back out of Kemper County in Mississippi, a true freshman. There's a good chance he's not going to play very much. And if you look at his film, he is an unbelievable player, unbelievably explosive guy. He's a guy that we've talked about on the show from time to time. And when you look at everything lining up, it becomes an absolute knife fight. We're going to talk about that in the next segment as well. eiwan Lacy would be the best running back in college football already. I think he would have won the Doak Walker Award a year ago if he would have been promoted at all. He wasn't. Whenever you promote players and do things like that, that increases their value. That's how you know that somebody thought they were leaving well before they actually left. It was a done deal. That is how you know that. And the value did not go up for eiwan Lacy. The value did not go up for Trinidad Chambliss because they were not promoted. It upsets me at a certain point. When we talk about the running back room right now, but like Trinidad Chambliss and eiwan Lacy, Trinidad should have been in New York. He was a Heisman level performer, got no basic promotion at all. eiwan Lacy, the same thing. William Eccles, the same thing. Players that they thought they were going to try to get to LSU, they were going to try and save a little bit of money in the process by depressing what they did. That's not going to be an issue this year. They're going to start advertising eiwan Lacy for the Doak Walker Award probably in August, in July. Same thing for Trinidad and the Heisman Trophy in August. Davey O'Brien, August. William Eccles, August. Those players are going to get a lot of run. There's going to be a lot of promotion around the talent that's on this Ole Miss roster. And the talent that's in the running back room is ridiculous. When you look at the starter being eiwan Lacy, we all know that. Mekhi Frazier, really good player. Joshua Dye, really good player. I think I know what I was going to say. Sorry about this. Spencer McLaughlin, who was the play-by-play man, described him as an explosive player. I think Joshua Dye is a Jerry and Ely clone. Now, he might be a little bit bigger than what Ely was, but I think they're going to be used in similar ways. Dye started out at UTEP, went to Southern Utah, and now he's in the Southeastern Conference after running for nearly 2,000 yards a year ago for Southern Utah. Shakai Mills-Knight, he's a guy that we're waiting on the light to come on. He has a similar situation and a similar story as to what Caleb Cunningham had. He decided he wanted to play basketball or run track or whatever he was going to do in high school to have the dedicated high school experience. And because of that, he missed spring. He was behind when he got here, didn't see the field very much. I expect both Shakai Mills-Knight and Caleb Cunningham to be much more ready to contribute going into the 2026 season as they are right now. Just spring practice and being in the system will handle that as well. This Ole Miss team has a chance to be really good. JT Lindsey, man. I'm excited about JT Lindsey. But this team has a chance to be really good. This room has a chance to be historically good. because not only of what's at the top, but what's at the floor. And that is going to be something to pay attention to moving forward. Ole Miss running back room for Frank Wilson, the number one recruiter in America, now has that running back room and a playoff that he can recruit to. It's funny, Ole Miss has played in more playoff games than LSU. So Frank Wilson might actually be going into a slightly better situation as far as recruiting that way. Last January was absolutely massive for Pete Golding. Hard to believe it's been about a month, but it was an impressive, wonderful, wonderful run. So, RB1, that's a foregone conclusion, but expect chaos every single other place, including running back 7. That's all coming up next. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every single deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. That's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in, if that TurboTax expert did not file for you a year ago. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. And welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and there's only one that's going to take the top spot. 5-Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors, something for everyone. Listen, I'm a fairly simple person. I love cherry. I like grape. Watermelon's really good too. That is kind of my top tier of flavors, but the extra stuff like the pomegranate, the birthday cake, stuff like that is interesting to think about what could happen. So I like that you can pick whatever flavor, mix and match how you want it, and get that energy jolt that you need. So I'm going to pick cherry, just real simple. Cherry 5-Hour Energy is going to be my top pick in the flavor draft this year. Listen, a sleeper pick in this draft, though, might actually be pomegranate. It's got this like tangy pomegranate thing to it. You need to pay attention to that, although I would not take it as the top spot. Confetti craze, fruity rainbow, and cotton candy if you want some exotic type flavors in 5-Hour Energy. And alternative, you can always take grape, and cherry is always going to be a mainstay that you can take. Find your flavor, your favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, so we know that Q1 Lacy is going to be the dude for Ole Miss in 2026. You saw that at the end of the year. The beginning of the year, watching his development over the course of the year was impressive. The way he pressed the holes and was patient getting into the holes and broke at the very last second. His lateral movement and his jump cuts were extremely, extremely good. But when you look at what's behind him, that's what I'm interested about this spring, because this spring, let's be real, Q1 Lacy is going to be in bubble wrap this spring. That he's not going to get hit. You're not going to get near him, all of that stuff. But the other guys, they have an absolute war. If you are Shakai Mills Knight and you want to get on the field Right now, you are lifting weights or going through walkthroughs or whatever you have to do to get ready for this spring practice, because it is that important for reps and carries in the season. There's a lot of bodies in that room and not many carries that are going to go around. Now, Q1 Lacy, his carry count is going to go down a little bit more. I think they promised him going into this that his carries were going to go down. His workload was going to go down to make sure there was tread left on the tire for him to go to the next level. I do think they're going to do that. I do think that you're going to see some 20 personnel and 21 personnel and use of a running back. Maybe you take a Joshua Dye, the transfer from Southern Utah, as the Jerry and Ely and line him up in the slot like, I don't know, back in the 90s, LSU did with Josh Reed from time to time. It depends on what his hands are. But this opens up different ways that you can attack the defense through personnel groupings. Listen, the number one trend in the NFL this year was 13 personnel. That's 3 tight ends, 1 running back. I think college football is a copycat league, so they're going to do whatever's working. Right now, we live in an 11 personnel world. We just do. But it wouldn't be hard to go 21. It would not be hard to go 10 from time to time from what's going on. But I do think Ole Miss has the personnel now to where the running back position, you can have more than one on the field. And when you look at how that is set up and the way you can attack with attacking at tempo and things like that, you can leave them on the field and the versatility is there. The positional versatility is there to where you can run normal formations. Josh Dye can go out into the slot receiver. He can be 2 running backs in the backfield. You can operate at tempo because of the versatility of these players. This spring practice is going to be an absolute war for the backups trying to get carries. You have to do it. You have to make an impression, because if you don't, you're going to have to wait until the year after, because that is what the logjam at running back looks like right now. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We're going to continue to talk about spring football and what's going on with the football team all week long. Make sure you subscribe and follow the show so you get all of the latest episodes. We're on all of the social channels as well, so check that out. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonolemess.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you find a second listen, either Locked On SEC or Locked On College Football. They are about perfect for that. This running back room is going to be really good. It just is. And this Ole Miss team is a national championship contender and sitting firmly at the top of the SEC right now as far as prognosticators go. Well, most of them anyway. So stay locked into this podcast, and we will tell you each and every single day who's making stupid statements, who's making good statements, and we will get ready for one of the most anticipated football seasons in the history of Ole Miss. Hotty toddy, everybody.